What if one decision, one no, one contract you didn't sign, cost you $100 million? The Marvel Cinematic Universe didn't just change cinema. It changed careers. It created billionaires. It turned actors into global icons. But not everyone said yes. Some walked away. Some couldn't commit. And some now live with the biggest what if in Hollywood history. These are the actors who turned down Marvel roles and watched someone else become a superstar. Before we begin, these stories are based on publicly reported casting discussions, interviews, and industry coverage. Exact contract numbers are private. But one thing is certain, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the highest-grossing franchise in cinema history, over $29 billion worldwide. And it all started with one risky casting choice. Let's begin with the biggest what-if of them all. Tom Cruise, the Iron Man that never was. Before Robert Downey Jr. became Iron Man, one name dominated the rumor mill: Tom Cruise. In the early 2000s, Cruise was heavily linked to Tony Stark. At one point, he even held producing rights to the project during development. But negotiations never aligned. Creative differences, timing, vision. The role eventually went to Robert Downey Jr. And that casting decision didn't just launch Iron Man, it launched the entire MCU. Downey reportedly earned hundreds of millions across the franchise. Iron Man became the face of modern superhero cinema. And Cruise? Still a megastar. But imagine if he had been the one to say, "I am Iron Man." Johnny Depp role, rumored, unconfirmed Marvel anti-hero. Went to Tom Hiddleston. Loki became MCU's breakout anti-hero. Johnny Depp has said he was approached for Marvel discussions, though exact roles were never confirmed publicly. Meanwhile, Tom Hiddleston's Loki became one of the MCU's most iconic characters. Spanning multiple films and a Disney Plus series, Loki evolved into a central multiverse figure. In franchise storytelling, anti-heroes often become fan favorites, and those roles can define legacies. Will Smith. Star-Lord almost looked very different before Chris Pratt danced into battle as Star-Lord. Will Smith was reportedly in early talks. At the time, Marvel was still building its cosmic universe. Guardians of the Galaxy was a massive risk. Talking raccoons, tree creatures, no one expected it to work, but it did. It became a billion-dollar franchise. Chris Pratt transformed from sitcom actor to global action star. And Will Smith? He stayed busy with other projects, but Star-Lord helped define a new era of Marvel storytelling. One different choice, and that red jacket might have belonged to someone else. Emily Blunt, the Black Widow that slipped away. Before Scarlett Johansson defined Black Widow, the role was offered to Emily Blunt. Blunt has confirmed she had to turn it down due to contractual obligations with another film. Scheduling conflicts, nothing dramatic, just timing. But Black Widow became one of the most iconic female superheroes of the modern era. Johansson would appear in multiple Avengers films and headline her own standalone movie. The character became central to the MCU's emotional core. Blunt has since joined other major franchises. But Marvel? That door closed. Hugh Jackman. Early casting discussions. Wolverine. While Hugh Jackman ultimately became Wolverine, early casting history around Marvel properties involved shifting considerations before final commitments. The character of Wolverine became one of the most profitable and beloved roles in comic book cinema. Casting in the superhero world is rarely straightforward, and sometimes even future legends begin as uncertain choices. Matthew McConaughey, a villain. Role passed. Matthew McConaughey has publicly stated he was offered a Marvel role early on. He turned it down. He chose passion projects instead. While the exact character details were never fully confirmed, it's widely reported he had the opportunity to join the MCU's expanding universe. The role eventually went to someone else, and Marvel villains have become some of the most memorable characters in modern film. McConaughey didn't need Marvel, but imagine him inside that universe, another Oscar winner in the MCU. Jake Gyllenhaal. Role: Mysterio. Jake Gyllenhaal eventually played Mysterio in Spider-Man: Far From Home, but earlier in his career, he had been connected to other superhero casting conversations. Marvel negotiations often evolve over time. Some actors circle roles for years before finally joining the universe. The path into the MCU isn't always direct. Channing Tatum. Role: Gambit Project, canceled solo film. Tatum was deeply attached to a solo Gambit project for years. The film was repeatedly delayed and eventually canceled during studio transitions. Had it moved forward, Gambit could have positioned Tatum at the center of Marvel's X-Men expansion. Instead, the opportunity dissolved before reaching theaters. Sometimes the regret isn't saying no. Sometimes the regret is the project never happening at all. Josh Holloway. Role auditioned, Star-Lord went to Chris Pratt. Josh Holloway reportedly auditioned for Star-Lord before the role went to Chris Pratt. Pratt's performance reshaped his career and helped establish the Guardians franchise as a billion-dollar property. In blockbuster casting, auditions can change entire futures. One screen test can redefine destiny. Henry Cavill, the Captain America. Rumors before Chris Evans lifted the shield. Henry Cavill was heavily rumored to be in consideration. Marvel casting processes are secretive, but Cavill's name frequently surfaced in early reports. Evans ultimately secured the role. Captain America became the emotional leader of the Avengers. Evans's career transformed. Cavill went on to lead DC as Superman instead. Different universe, different legacy. But the what if remains. Why some actors say no. It's easy to judge in hindsight, but here's the reality. Marvel contracts often require multi-film commitments, long shooting schedules, limited scheduling flexibility. Some actors prefer standalone films, avoid franchise lock-ins, choose artistic freedom over long-term contracts. Not every no is regret. Sometimes it's strategy, sometimes it's timing, and sometimes it's simply impossible to predict the future. The Marvel Cinematic Universe changed Hollywood forever, but behind every iconic superhero is another actor who almost wore the suit. One audition, one meeting, one signature that never happened. And somewhere in Hollywood tonight, there's an actor wondering, what if I had said yes? If you enjoy stories about the biggest money mistakes in Hollywood, subscribe. Because next, we're uncovering actors who lost $100 million from one decision. You won't believe who's on that list.